Hey.
Hey! Oh my god, yo. Oh my god. I don't know if obsessed is the right word, but Alex Murdaugh, I've been obsessed since our last video. Been watching court, trial, live, everything. It's been insane. I've watched the Netflix documentary. I've watched the 48 hours. Oh yeah. Insane. Every time I say insane, you might want to take a shot. I'm just saying. If you're, trying to be passed out in 15 minutes. But I don't know, because it's going to be a good one today. It's going to be a good one. I'm just saying. Take it away. Laria and Nevaeh. Nevaeh, man.
I don't know as much as she does. I don't have time to sit on my phone and listen to these all day.
You're right. You're at school, you're learning, you're being a great student. I'm only taking one class. So when I'm not in class, I'm at work listening to the trial. Yo, you been watching it? You been watching it? What do you think? They did closing arguments today. What do you think?
How about we ask her what she thinks? Because she's got quite an opinion.
Oh my god.
Let's start off with Maggie. What do we think? Maggie is his wife that he killed, so to say.
Oh man, Maggie. Like, I don't know. Like, everything that I've watched, Netflix, 48 hours, all of it. Everything is so different. Everything I've watched is so different. Like, when I started last week, like, I was in that rabbit hole, but in that week, it has been insane. Like, the amount of different, like, shit that everybody is saying. Oh, first it's this, and then it's this, and then it's this. Like, what is the real story? What is going on? At the end of the day, I think homeboy murdered his family, but that's just my opinion. Like, that's not facts. We'll find out what the jury thinks. But still, like, if you've watched any of it, it is insane. Nevaeh, did you watch any of it, or do you just listen to what I talk about when I come home?
I watched some of the series. I have one more episode to watch of the Netflix series, and I've watched, like, I think a little bit of the trial and whatever I've seen on her phone while we've been, like, I watched that whole body cam video where they were explaining his body language.
The body... Oh, the body language experts.
Yeah, watch that with
Man,
her.
Did anybody else notice that homeboy did not shed any tears with his my family? Where's your tears, homie? I'm just saying.
Back to what we were saying, though. Her opinion on Maggie.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
what
so
do you think?
Yeah. Back to Maggie. Okay, so I'm not really sure. 'Cause, like, I want to believe she was the innocent wife that didn't know what was going on. Like, I want to believe that so much because, that's the mom in me.
But for her to hire someone to look into their finances because she was unsure makes me think a little bit like...
See, but here's the thing. Like, that's all hearsay, too. That's all hearsay. That's not... Oh, I heard she was talking to a divorce attorney, which, I mean... From everything I've heard, like, her sister said, was her sister, I don't know if it was her sister or friend, I can't remember, but so anyway, she didn't want to meet Alex. She didn't even want to go to the house that night. She didn't. She wanted to meet him in a public spot. She said he was acting sketchy, like.
Fair.
And then, they're all there, and then, boom, Paul and Maggie are dead. I think maybe Maggie... Okay, so, like, maybe I don't think... Okay, here's my opinion. Just
There
mine.
you go.
Just mine. I think maybe Maggie didn't know what was going on at first. But like after I listened to the whole Gloria Satterfield case and I listened to the 911 call, like she genuinely sounded scared. Like there's what's scepters, qualifiers? I can't remember which is which. I'm not there yet. I'm not qualified to speak on it, really, but she sounded to me genuinely like lady, upset, but I think maybe she started to figure it out. But then it all goes back to the boat case. Like,
Yeah.
did she try to cover it up for Paul?
I mean, that's her baby boy, right?
Which,
So,
I mean, yeah, like.
But even then, like, your kids have to be taught consequences at some
I totally
time for
agree.
their actions. So, he killed someone. He injured a lot of
This is
people.
like some Yellowstone shit, if you want me to be honest with you. 1910 to 2006. That is almost 100 years of this family running shit. Just running shit. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm back at it. Like, I wholeheartedly think that Alex Murdaugh killed his wife and son. I believe it.
I think he had something to do with the Gloria situation.
Oh,
and the other guy, Seth, or what's his name?
Stephen Smith.
Stephen Smith. Definitely think he had something to do with him.
Man, like I've just been watching so much shit since
this whole thing. And he doesn't even look like he's upset about it. He's just numb.
Oh no! If you see homeboy on the stand, he's like, are there tears there? No, maybe I can try harder. Like and then he's right back to normal. He's really good at like crying when needed, and then right back to normal. He's cool. I don't get it. I watched the whole interrogation and the police car at the scene. Like, I'm gonna cry at this part. Then
oh my god, he kept doing that the whole time.
He was driving me insane. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, what is that? What is that? It's not convincing. It's just not. And then he's like, see, I could go on all night. Oh okay. Yeah, he was clean, right? He was clean. He was clean. He didn't look like he had shot somebody with a shotgun at close range. You're right. But he also didn't look like somebody that went and tried to turn his son's body over and check pulses, and you would have had some kind of blood on you. You would have. It would have happened. If you touched them, you would have had some fucking blood. And there's no blood?
He was wearing a white shirt. There was no blood at all on him. So.
Which, you're right. It didn't look like he shot anybody, but it also didn't look like he went over to check on anybody neither, is what I'm saying. And then, like, you just didn't... The video shows you were there. You were there. You went up to the house to take a nap. You didn't hear 8... Okay, I don't know how many exactly, because I was a little confused about this, but like the shotgun and the Black Hawk, or whatever the hell they were called, you didn't hear none of that. None of it. Like, listening to his whole testimony on on live, it was just, I hope they fry his ass.
All right, let's talk about Paul and the boating accident.
Okay, so yes, all that sucks. It sucks. It did.
It's very sad, actually.
And I'm sure in real life, like, Paul, I mean, he probably did feel some sort of, like, I watched the Netflix thing. And if you haven't watched the Netflix thing, we'll link the Netflix series in the description. But Anthony Cook, which was Mallory Beach's boyfriend, Like, he obviously lost the most out of everybody. I mean, other than Mallory's parents, which, God, that was so hard for me to watch. Like, that whole series was just so sad, especially being a parent.
Not only that is, like, the whole friend group, like, Murdaugh came, did I say it right?
Murdaugh.
Yeah.
You're right.
Came in there, and he was trying to, like, represent each of them and trying to turn it around to make it look like his kid was innocent.
Yeah, he tried to say that Connor Cook was driving the boat. I mean, I completely believe that he went in there trying to, you know, cause confusion, trying to take over the scene, because your family doesn't get that powerful just like for nothing. For nothing. Y'all watch Yellowstone? I'm sure the Murdaughs were taking people to the fucking train station. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, you don't get that powerful over 100 years for nothing. For nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
They said that Paul was 3 times over the limit.
Yeah, man.
Driving that boat.
I mean, you watched it. You watched the dock footage of him walking back to the boat.
Yeah.
Like, he was trash.
They were already drinking at a party.
Oh, they started drinking before they even got to the oyster roast.
So they were drinking before, got to the oyster roast. They were drinking there.
Left.
Went to the bar. Mind you, they're not 21. They're all like, and they're all like
they were like 19, 20. But
still.
Paul used
his Buster's ID. To get alcohol and to buy alcohol.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's why Buster's in trouble for all that. Like, everybody's getting in trouble. And it's just, it's so crazy. Like, once the cards start, what is it? What do they say? The cards start to fall. I don't know. You gotta help me out here with, like, Proverbs and shit. Anyway, it's like,
what she's trying to say is, as one thing starts to happen, a million things are gonna fall down.
Domino. There you go. Domino effect. You push over one, psh, the rest are gonna fall. It's just, and poor Maggie and Paul, like, listening to them describe this scene, the pictures that I saw, I don't know how this man wasn't, like, beside himself. He was so calm and matter of fact, and he lied. Can
you tell it's bothered her?
It has bothered me. I mean, coming from a mom myself, like, and your child, like, and the way they said it happened, like, Maggie saw whoever shot Paul, and the way the prosecutors wrapped it up, like, she was running to her baby when she got shot. Paul wasn't a saint. He wasn't. He sucked.
But he was
a
still
douchebag.
A young kid that.
But nobody deserves to die, especially like that. Yeah, okay. He is responsible for Mallory Beach. He needed to be held responsible for Mallory Beach. He did. Mm-hmm. He completely did. But I don't see anybody being like, he's got to die over this. Because even Anthony, like, he forgave him, but he didn't, if that makes sense.
He knew that if he went around him, he could never be, like, as close as he was with him before. And if he was around him, he probably would have.
I mean, according to Anthony, the last thing he said was, I love you, but you've got to go away. You got to go away. Like, you
and then they
killed my heart.
Then they thought that he was possibly the one that killed Paul. And then because in the video footage of them after the wreck on the, what was it called? The bridge or whatever.
Body cam footage.
He had screaming out loud saying, like, you know,
he was upset.
You killed my girlfriend and she's gone and I hope you rot in fucking hell. So, of course, they thought that he would be one of the first
And
people.
he even said that. He was like, man, I understand why they came to me. Like, I get it. I do. He's like, but, like, that was his best friend.
They were all in a friend group. Everyone had, so, like, you had
I think
Miley,
they started hanging out again, like,
obviously
right before he
Paul.
died. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't think Anthony had anything to do with it. He was upset, but
I don't think he could do that after.
And even Connor, like, I don't think Connor could do it. And Connor, man, he was such a sweet kid. I would say was.
He is.
I don't know him personally, obviously, but I did watch the Netflix. I mean, you know what I mean?
The way they made him seem, how he seemed.
That poor kid.
They tried to blame it on
Miley,
him.
Morgan, I mean, all of them. Those kids, man. They've been through so much. So much. And then it's like one thing after another, after another, after another.
And the fact that, like, even their parents and they know that, like, Murdaugh was in control and always was trying to get control over a situation, and they knew that they couldn't really do anything about it, so they wanted to make sure that they could do everything in their power to get rid of him. As far as, like, his charges go, I feel like they had to have had some part of it.
The way that, like, they kept talking about the evidence. Like, everybody keeps talking about how, like, John Marvin was so great for the defense. He was so great for the defense. But, like, as I'm listening to him, I'm like, no. No, like, if I was on that jury listening to this, I wouldn't have been taking... Yeah, John Marvin seemed so upset. So upset. And even after watching, like, the Netflix series about how, you know, he helped cover up the boat accident, I don't know that if he did help cover up the boat, if he knew what he was doing as far as, like, covering up the boat accident, because he lived so far away. I don't think he quite... Okay, like, maybe he didn't live that far away because Paul did work for him. It's so hard. Like, I want to believe John Marvin. I want to think, like, oh, he was innocent. He really loved everybody. He didn't really, he didn't even realize what was going on. But, fuck, man. Alec has been caught in so many lies. Lie after lie after lie.
And now it's to the point where he can't keep up with the story, so it doesn't matter.
Right, and it's like, his whole family's like, we didn't know he was addicted to pills. Okay, so how did you not know? I don't know. I don't get it. And $50,000 a week on Oxy seems like a lot. I think homeboy was sending his money somewhere. I think Buster's about to be rich. Buster's about to be fucking sitting pretty somewhere. That's just my opinion. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Anyway, because of all the public media. It's gonna come his way anyway, I feel like.
That's if he doesn't get connected to this fucking Stephen Smith shit, because apparently, like, ever since all of this has started happening, there's been so much evidence. They reopened, because they were talking about how, like, when Paul and Maggie died, it was like, or no. Stephen Smith died. And then all of a sudden the Murdaugh's name got brought up in it. And it was never talked about again. Never talked about again.
They said something about the Murdaugh boys, and then that was it.
And then the boating accident. I mean,
I just can't get over the fact that they tried to blame Connor, who was trying to... He was trying to actually...
have a rash. I don't know. I think I'm having an allergic reaction.
Okay.
I'm over here itching myself. They're probably like, what the fuck is she doing? But anyway, there you go. They do need to know why she's scratching herself like a gorilla.
Okay. Oh my God.
So anyway, what were we saying? Connor?
It's like the fact that they tried to frame Connor for doing, like, driving the boat when he was actually trying to get them home safely because he wasn't 3 times over the limit.
Connor was drunk, dude. He was drunk. He never denied that he was drunk.
I mean, all of them were drinking, but Connor and
But he said
Paul
I was
were
not
the ones
driving
that
the
went
boat.
into the...
Was not driving the boat.
I feel like he was more aware for sure, even if he was drinking.
And here's my thing. Like, there's 6 people on the boat. Minus Mallory, which, that hurts my soul. So, 4 against 1. 4 against 1. Everybody said he was driving the boat. You're like, oh, yeah, nope, it was Connor. Connor did that shit. Connor didn't do that shit.
Paul knew that his dad would probably, be pissed.
Connor was scared that the Murdaughs were gonna freaking make him disappear.
It's crazy.
And if Connor's outside, that's scared, and Connor's been, like, Paul's best friend forever, like, why would Connor be that scared if it wasn't true?
If something wasn't happening.
If it wasn't true. Connor and Anthony's dads, like, they both knew Alec Murdaugh. They grew up with him, like, come on. If they're saying it, they're just throwing it out there. They're just blowing it out their ass. Like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Fuck him. Which, I mean, I would be like that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, oh yeah, fuck you. But you just tried to frame my son for, what's the word? Negligent. But if it's vehicular manslaughter, but, like, boats. Boticular.
I don't want to ruin a whole
kidding.
bunch of stuff for you in the series anyway, but it's probably going to be talked about.
Oh, it's going to be talked about. It doesn't matter. Like,
how long was it before they found Mallory? What was it, 3 days? 72 hours after
Was it 3 days?
it happened?
It was like 5.
5 days. It was like 5 days.
I don't know, but it was days. It was days.
They finally found Mallory.
They did. And they found her.
What's his name? Anthony didn't want to leave where it happened.
Oh, yeah, no.
He was telling his parents, he was telling the cops, like, no, I'm not leaving her.
I'm not leaving.
Which I think says a lot about his character, for sure. But,
just watching him in that documentary, like, I feel like he was the only one that kind of, like, is... Oh, man, he just is so down to earth. Like, he loved Mallory so much. He really, really did. But at the same time, he's like, we were drunk. And, like, as much as I hate him for it, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, I'm not. I'm just...
But here's what I'm saying,
because forgiveness is easier than hatred for life. But...
he didn't go into, even if he was drinking prior to going to the bar, he was still way more sober than they were because the girls were trying to let Connor and mostly Paul, like, convince them to be like, let Anthony drive, or, and Paul didn't want anyone else doing anything in the boat because it was his boat and he knew the river. And
which, I mean, we've all... like, had that friend that's like, nope, no. Oh, it sucks. It sucks. Like, you want to be that person that's like, no. But if your friend is going, you're going. Like Anthony said, he's not just going to let his friend go on the boat by himself, which he probably should have, but...
probably should have stayed somewhere with the girls, honestly.
But either way, what happened. Like, it sucks so much. It really does. It sucks. Like, God, I feel for Mallory's parents. But Paul still did not deserve to get murdered like that.
He definitely
like,
deserved to be in jail, though.
Oh, he definitely
Yeah.
deserved to be held accountable for his actions, but having his fucking skull blown out of the back of his head was not cool. It's not cool. And then his mom, like, my heart.
Like, whether she knew what was going on or not, I don't think she was really a part of anything that was going on, so I don't think it was fair for her to die. Like, and
I wholeheartedly believe that she was trying to help her baby boy not be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think she knew as much as... I
don't think she knew that Alec was, like, stealing money from people. I don't think
she knew that he was really killing people or spending that much money on drugs.
No. See, that's where I'm... Like, I don't think she knew about the drugs. Because... I don't think she knew as much detail about the drugs as she thought. I think she knew a little bit about what was going on, but still $50,000. But then again, where's all this money going? So crazy to me. I need people to figure this out. I need them to figure it out. I need all the facts, all the details. Like, it's been driving me insane. I listened to the firearm experts. Like, I'm like, oh my God, we gotta get some facts here. I need to know these things.
I hope that they come out with like a full documentary about everything.
There's so many podcasts. There's so much. But they did do a documentary. That's what that Netflix thing was.
I know, but that was like
you mean from like
about the boating accident? And like I'm saying that's the thing that like got everybody's attention about this family for real. But I'm talking about like everything that happened. And like more insight on the trial.
You mean more than just the boating accident and Maggie and Paul? You need to like everything before that, like all these lawsuits and shit. About, when he started stealing money.
Yeah, and I want to know like details about his parents and that night where he did kill Maggie.
Yeah, I want to know. Like, I know Randolph, his dad. His dad. Oh yeah, I'm for sure that guy was crooked as fuck. But was M?
Paul, that was one of the first
Libby?
calls.
M? Libby? Is that what they called her? They called her M, but her name was Libby.
I don't know.
There you go. But yeah, was
the first call Paul made was like his dad and his grandpa after the boating accident. Like, you didn't call the police.
No, you didn't hear what he told Mallory, or not Mallory, Morgan.
What?
Why? Or no, that was when they got into a car accident.
Yeah. Right.
Why'd you call the police?
Paul and Morgan got in a car accident and she called the police like any smart person would do when something like that happens. And Paul called his grandpa. Like,
yeah, because that was what Grandpa, what Mr. Randolph did. He just covered shit up. Like I said, you don't run a fucking county, a whole county, for 100 years without having some sort of like mafioso type strong arm. Like, you just don't. You just don't. I mean, Yellowstone? No, I'm kidding. Going to the train station.
But there was just so much, like, misinformation. Like, for real, like, I'm confused about some things, but...
Yeah, because the Netflix series contradicts some things that's in the 48 hours.
And I feel like...
series versus the things that I've listened to in court. Like, I'm so confused.
I feel like if they made
the details of some shit,
a Netflix series based on the trial from court, that we might get more insight, because that was real time facts all presented. Like,
there's so many things that, like, the prosecutor didn't ask that I wish she would have.
And I want...
But maybe, I guess it's like parameters. Certain parameters. You're not allowed to ask certain... You know you're not allowed to make a defendant look bad in court? Like, you just can't. You're just not allowed. That's hearsay. That's opinion. It irritates, like, this whole trial, like, all of it. I've listened to the whole last 8 weeks in, like, a week. You know this thing was supposed to be done in, like, 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
Guess what? Today's March 1st. So, and they said it wouldn't last till March.
8 weeks. It's supposed to be 8 weeks. Prosecutor gave their closing arguments today, and like I said, they're all about, like, he did it. You were there. You were there.
So, is a verdict have to come in still, or?
Well, okay, so prosecutors did their closing arguments today, I think. Last I checked, the prosecutors did their closing arguments, and the defense still had to do theirs. So I'm not sure if they did or not, as of right now. But I don't think they did. So I think we still have to wait for the defense attorneys to give their closing arguments, and then after that, that's when the jury goes and deliberates.
Okay. So I think what we need to do is, when we find out those details before we post this video,
Update it.
Take a quick video, sit down and talk about
it,
the
because
ending of
God,
March.
I swear. So, worst case scenario is an acquittal. They just don't think he did. There's enough reasonable doubt that the jury just doesn't think anybody proved their case, and that they shouldn't.
A lot of people are going to be really pissed off if that happens.
There's going to be a lot of women in this country pissed off. No, I'm going to take that back. A lot of moms. Moms are going to be mad if he gets acquitted. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. My personal opinion is he's either going to be found guilty, which, I mean, if I was a juror in this case, that would be my decision. But, I'm not a juror. I'm just sitting here on YouTube with my bestie. Or I think it's going to be a hung jury. I think there might be that one juror that's like, you know what, I don't know. And if that happens, if nobody can agree, it's a hung jury, and he gets to go home. But, if you know anything, do you know what a hung jury means?
I do not.
Okay.
But so, undecided.
Do you know, okay, so acquittal versus hung jury.
Mm.
Okay. 2 seconds. Pause for the cost.
Okay.
Okay. So, acquittal means he's not guilty.
Okay.
He's not guilty. They don't think he did it. Hung jury means they can't come to an agreement.
So they're like, some think.
So he gets to go home until the prosecutors decide to try him again. Now, if he's acquitted, he can't be tried again for the same charges. That would be double jeopardy.
Which I know you can't do.
Yes, if you get found not guilty of murdering somebody, or you get acquitted of all charges, they cannot charge you with the same charges again.
I feel like that's pretty crazy, because, like, if he's getting charged with all these things, like 90 plus things, and so many lawsuits, why wouldn't it be true?
I don't know. I kind of feel at this point, like, either way, homeboy's going to prison for life.
He should be.
Prison for life. Whether it's for murder, whether it's for fraud, whether it's for whatever the fuck else they've charged him with. He's going to prison for life. If he doesn't, I will have lost all faith in not only humanity, but our justice. Wait, I think I said that backwards. Not only our justice system, but like humanity. Everybody just sucks if this guy doesn't get charged with something. Because how the fuck do you do all this shit for so long?
And spend all this money, because I know it's not free to do all this.
Like, where are these millions of dollars? Millions that he has stolen from people. Where are they? He spent it on pills. That much on pills? Who was he buying pills for? Canada? Like, was he... Like, that's a lot of fucking pills. $50,000 a week. $50,000.
No, he wasn't doing that all by himself.
I'm about to go down to the corner of the street. And I'm going to ask him. Like, yo, gangster. Over here panhandling. How much you make a day? How much of that goes towards pills? None of it? All goes towards heroin. I guess that's a bad example. Think of another one.
Okay, she's just... rambling.
I am.
Anyway, we're gonna come back whenever we find out an update about this decision. Hopefully he's going to jail.
The verdict.
Forever.
Did you know that he never took a polygraph test?
Well, of course he didn't, because he's lying.
Because they're inadmissible anyway. They're so inadmissible, why does people have to take them?
Why do they work sometimes?
I don't know. Well,
anyway,
the next time we see you, there's going to be a verdict. And we're going to talk about it. I promise you that.
Well, you know she'll talk about it for sure.
Mr. Walton, you know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. Sorry.
All right.
Grr.
Bye.
Be seated.
I understand that there is a verdict. You may bring the jury. Pass it to me, and you may be seated. The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict starting with the back, not with the, let's see, I'll tell you again. Starting with the back, flipping them over one by one. State of South Carolina versus.
Docket number 2022 GS 15-00592, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions in the term of 2022, July, the State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Okay. Guilty verdict. Signed by the forelady, 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS-15-00593, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions, the July term of 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116, verdict guilty, signed by the forelady, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS15-00595, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, SC Code -16-23-0490, CDR Code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS-15-00594, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, SC Code 16-23-0490, CDR Code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, 3/2/23.
Thank you. Madam Forelady and members of the jury, if that is the verdict of each and every juror, please let it be known by raising your right hands. All right, thank you. Any individual polling requested? Madam Clerk, you'll need to individually poll the jury according to their juror numbers.
Number 193. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 254.
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 326. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 530. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 544.
Yes.
Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 572. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 578. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 589. Was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 630. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 729. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 826. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 864. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Your Honor, the jury has been polled.
Thank you. The jury has been polled, and the verdict is a unanimous verdict. If you will bring the alternate juror out and have her have a seat in the audience, please. You can stand there or you can sit back there, whatever you prefer. Okay. Are there any post-trial motions?
None from the state, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we would just renew our previously argued motions for a directed verdict, and at this, on the grounds, on those grounds, we would make a motion for a mistrial and to set aside the verdict.
By the state, response.
Your Honor, based on our previous arguments, we would submit that the case properly went to the jury and the verdict is proper, and we rely on those arguments.
We've been here now 28 days, first few days of jury selection, and the remainder receiving testimony, an overwhelming amount of testimony and evidence that was presented to the jury for the jury's consideration. As I indicated to the jury during the jury charge, or the charge on the law, that this was a matter solely for the jury to determine. The court found at the end of the state's case that there's sufficient evidence to find the defendant guilty if the evidence was believed by the jury. Likewise, at the end of the defense's case, when the motion was renewed, the court found that the evidence was sufficient for the jury to find the defendant guilty. The jury has now considered the evidence for a significant period of time, and the evidence of guilt is overwhelming, and I deny the motion. Mr. Murdaugh, you now having been found guilty of 2 counts of murder involving your wife and your son, 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, the burden now comes upon the court to impose a sentence. Given the lateness of the hour and the victim's rights that must be taken into consideration and complied with under the Victim's Bill of Rights, and consider what I would anticipate to be a number of people who might have something to say regarding sentencing, we will defer sentencing to a later date. Of course, the minimum sentence for murder is 30 years. The maximum sentence is life imprisonment. As to each count, and on the weapons charge, the sentence is up to 5 years, or 5 years, which has to be concurrent if a life sentence is imposed. When would you all like to reconvene for sentencing? I would like to give everyone an adequate opportunity to prepare for it.
State will be ready at 9:30 in the morning, Your Honor.
We could do it at 9:30 tomorrow morning also.
All right. The defendant is remanded to the custody of the Colleton County Sheriff's Department. And he may be taken away. Madam Floor Lady and members of the jury, I want to thank you on behalf of the citizens of the state of South Carolina and your fellow citizens of Colleton County. You did not volunteer for this service. You were called upon by being summoned to appear, and Providence have brought you to this moment in time and these weeks in time. I know that all of you have been here at great sacrifice, particularly the juror whose job was on the line until a miracle happened, I guess, that allowed him to be able to leave rather than to stay at rather than leave after 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to thank each one of you all individually and collectively. It's not often that you're called upon to sit in judgment of the actions of your fellow man, but you all have responded and it gave due consideration to the evidence. I will make no comment now as to the extent or the overwhelming nature of the evidence, but certainly the verdict that you've reached is supported by the evidence, circumstantial evidence, direct evidence, all of the evidence pointing to only one conclusion. That's the conclusion that you all reached. So I applaud you all for, as a group and as a unit and individually, evaluating the evidence and coming to a proper conclusion as you saw the law, as you saw the facts. Now that you've served for the next year, you're not eligible to serve again. Now, of course, many people never get called upon, but you're not eligible for the next year, and for 2 additional years, you can be exempted from service because no person is required to serve on jury duty in this court more often than once every 3 years. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, we will reconvene for sentencing. It's really an amazing thing with juries. Quite often at the start, remind me of the expression you gave on the witness stand. Was it tangled?
Tangled web, we weave.
Oh, what tangled web we weave. What did you mean by that?
It meant when I lied, I continue to lie.
And the question is, when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already for the jury because they've concluded that you continued to lie and lied throughout your testimony. And perhaps with all the throng of people here, they, for the most part, all believe, or 80, 90%, 99% believe that you continue to lie now when your statement of denial to the court. Perhaps you believe that it does not matter, that there's nothing that can mitigate a sentence given the crimes that were committed. You know, a notice of alibi was filed in this case by counsel in November, and we conducted a hearing, pretrial hearing, in which you claim to have been someplace else at the time the crime was committed. Then, after all of the witnesses placed you at the scene of the crime, at the last minute, or last minutes or days, you switch courses and admitted to being there. And then that necessitated more lies and continued to lie. And I say, where will it end? It's already ended for many who have heard you and concluded that it'll never end. But within your own soul, you have to deal with that. And I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
Yeah, I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes. I don't know person who's always been such a gregarious, friendly person can cause your life to be tangled in such a weave, web, such a situation that yours have spun into, and it's so unfortunate because you had such a lovely family of such friendly people, including you, and to go from that to this. Your license to practice law has been stripped away from you. You turned from lawyer to witness, and now have an opportunity to make your final appeal as an ex-lawyer. And it's it's really surprising that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything. But you have the opportunity to do so.
Judge, I tell you again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills. Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others that I'm not thinking of right now.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton. They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters. I know Mr. Harpootlian's scheduling is complicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office, with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here, Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here, along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those other cases. Perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement in our state. Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about, I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tiger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach, and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed. I could imagine, or really can't imagine, but I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for a term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably loved so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of corrections. And officers may carry forth on the imposition. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.